That's when blue light and red light are perfectly balanced. So you're repairing the heme that retains this. That's the reason why you have to hit the default switch every day. That's why every podcast I do, they always say, Jack, what's the single most important thing that you can tell people? You must see the sunrise every day. Now, a guy like you that's got psoriasis, what would I tell you to do? The last hour before the sun sets mimics what you see from the red light perspective, because we need Nick's heme proteins in him to be optimized. Okay. Then the great white shark part of the story is protein and fat. Why? Because all of those electrons and protons come in at cytochrome 2. You're bypassing cytochrome 1. That's what we want. And if you're getting enough UV, what does UV do? You know, you've already said it. Makes nitric oxide. Nitric oxide binds to cytochrome C oxidase. It slows electron flow. It mimics what cyanide does to us, except we don't die. And we limit the amount of ATP we need. Why? Because fundamentally, what does a TCA animal that normoxic really need? Less food and more sun. You do that, that's how you live the longest.
So roughly speaking, to give people a sense here, let's say that I moved next door to you in El Salvador. So my light environment changes to that degree. I'm going from Seattle to El Salvador. How much less food do you think I would need?
You probably, within 6 weeks, probably go from 3 or 4 meals a day to 2. And then eventually to 1.
And there will be, and there will be
no, you're a biochemist. Yeah. Remember what I told you?
Yeah.
Why does your hunger go away? Because your leptin-melanocortin pathway goes up. Melanin takes care of all the problems in your hypothalamus. You're not hungry anymore. You don't even have to snack. You're kind of stunned. In fact, what I'll have you do is drink way more water. Now, the one part of El Salvador that's bad, we don't have deuterium depleted water here. Why? Because it's a third world country, and that's expensive. You can get a handle on that in Amazon at home. So that would be an issue for you. But remember, the water you make is the most important part. And that's a cytochrome C oxidase story. So I'm going to want you at the beach with your feet, especially a guy like you with psoriasis, your feet in the ocean, sitting in a beach chair out with a cooler of deuterium depleted water until you fix that problem. And obviously, then we got to talk about the non-native EMF footprint in the house that you're renting down here. Why? Because remember, you already told me you have heteroplasmy increase in your skin. I'm worried about that in you. Why? Because if it goes bad there, it could go bad in your brain. It could go bad in the CYP enzymes in your liver, and you may have problems with detox, or you may develop sleep apnea. You may develop cataracts. For all the reasons that I mentioned to you earlier, I am trying to prevent you from getting those problems. Can you still get them in El Salvador? Say if you live in a house with dirty electricity and all the lights here are LED because they have no access to incandescence. All those things are still operational in a guy who's got Warburg shifted skin.
Why are so many people, well, I understand we're going to be treading some things that we've already discussed here, but explain for people in the context of the obesity epidemic. And this can tie into various things, but like most people, when they try to explain the obesity epidemic, they are going to talk about calories. They're going to talk about lack of movement. You're going to tell us a different story. But why is leptin resistance such an issue today? And how do you explain it in the context of the obesity epidemic we've seen unfold?
Because our asteroid is pretty simple. It's the light environment we've created. Nobody's outside anymore.